G'day everyone, welcome to Footyology Final Siren. Boy, did Friday night footy deliver this evening. An absolute clinker of a contest between the Cats and the Dogs, and it was the Felines prevailing in the end after the siren. Gary Rowan, one of the better post-siren kicks to win a game, I think you'll see, given the angle and the distance and, of course, the pressure of the moment. You've got to feel a bit sorry for the Bulldogs. Hadn't won down at Geelong since 2003. Oh, so close, but Geelong prevailing in the tightest of finishes and getting home by 5 points. We're here to talk about it. We want your questions wherever you're watching this, be it on Twitter or Facebook. Get your questions and comments in and we will zip through them for the next hour and a bit. We've got tips for the rest of the round coming up and anything else you want to put on your and our football agenda. As I say, a very good evening to my Footyology Final Siren co-host, Mark Fine. What a finish, Finey.
What a gut. Well, look, actually, it was a bit of a slow burn. I thought the first quarter was terrible, but the second quarter was good football. And from that point on, the scoreboard made it compelling and the football made it compelling and the brilliance. There were 4 brilliant players on that field tonight, Rowan. For Geelong, I thought, Tom Stewart might have played. That could have been a 10 in Sun School. Remember the old Sun School, Ricky Quaid?
I do. It was. I actually had to do Sun School quite a bit. I would have thought long and hard about giving that a 10.
And I thought Menegola was outstanding tonight. And from the Bulldogs' perspective, the sheer brute force and beauty of Bontempelli was on display. And Tom Liberatore dominated everything in close that wasn't swamped under pressure. Yeah, you know what was funny? During the program, I was watching, it must have been on, 7. They had an ad for Big Brother, or I was switched. Anyway, I saw an ad for Big Brother tonight that claimed to be the original and best reality show. No, it's not. That game had everything, not just the finish. It was a war of attrition. There were tears on both sides for injured players, dramas. The game was dramatic. It was an absolute ripper. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad there was a small crowding because even they played a role, Rowan.
Yeah, well, it was good to have any sort of crowd, I guess. If you're a Victorian, we've certainly been bereft of them and bereft of any footy at all for several weeks now. So great to see that. Few questions being asked about why, if you're going to have social distancing, do you pack them all in on the ground?
Of course. It's great. I thought the idea was 7,000 or whatever spread out, not sitting on each other's laps.
I don't know. It's I suspect it's something to do about saving on maintenance costs, but maybe that might, let's just hope it doesn't mean a few more cases of COVID. Anyway, plenty to talk about. Start getting your questions in and we'll rip through them after we rip through the details because it was a pretty late finish, so a bit of work to be done and a bit to absorb. So let's first have a look at the quarter-by-quarter scores. And as you said, Finey, pretty slow burn to start with, just 1 goal each, 1 goal for each of 2, to quote Peter Landy, in that first term. And it was a real grind and opened up significantly in that second term. 4 goals to the Doggies, 5 to the Cats, who appeared to be getting on top in terms of general play. They took a 7-point lead into half-time. Third quarter, pretty much goal for goal. And the Cats, again, with a narrow 2-point lead at the final change after the last goal of that third quarter to Asava Radaglia, or Ragaguli if you're Brian Taylor, or whatever he was calling him towards the end there. I don't know what was going on with BT tonight. And then a thrilling final term, goal for goal. Cameron putting the Cats 6 points to the good about 7 minutes into the last quarter. Caleb Daniel, great kick from him after BT said he won't make the distance, levelled the scores again. Couple of missed opportunities. In fact, the Bulldogs missed a couple and proved to be pretty costly at the start of that last quarter, Scott and Bontempelli. Another point to Hannon, point to Dangerfield, another point, a poster, in fact, to Rourke Smith. And with 5.5 minutes left, the Doggies led by 1 point. Menegola, lovely goal for him, put the Cats up again. not to be denied, the Bulldogs came back from an ex-centre bounce clearance. Toby Mclean dribbled one through from about 25 metres out. And the Dogs led again by 1 point, poised for their first win at Cardinia Park since 2003. And then, and we'll revisit it because I'm still trying to remember exactly what happened, but a really, really important knock forward by Joel Selwood with the ball in Geelong's defence. Isaac Smith got the ball in the clear midfield, found Gary Rowan, still with a lot of work to do, and the Siren having run, I think, about 48, 47 metres out, really tight angle, close to the boundary, but straight as a die. Can't think of too many other players in the AFL you'd want kicking to win a game after the Siren than that man. And second time he's done it. Of course, he did it for Sydney against Essendon up at the SCG in, I think, 2017. So he had form and he delivered the goods. The Cats prevailing by 5 points. The final scores, Geelong 12-11-83, defeating the Doggies 11-12-78. The goal kickers for the victors, 2 to Cameron, 2 to Menegola, 2 to Rowan, singles to Close, Hawkins, Dalhouse, Parfitt, Selwood, and Radicalier. For the Bulldogs, 3 to Josh Bruce, including an absolute corker on the run from about the same spot Gary Rowan kicked the match winner. 2 to Scott, and singles to Liberatore, Waitman, Johannesson, Bontempelli, Daniel, and McLean. Your best, Finey, and I agree with them. Best on ground, you've gone with Tom Stewart. What a fantastic defensive performance that was. Menegola, Dalhouse, Selwood, Parfitt, and Zach Tui, also very good in defence. And for the Doggies, Bontempelli, Liberatore, Hunter, Daniel, Williams, and Duray, a couple of defenders there for the Dogs as well. I don't know, where do you put that? It's sometimes easy to be swayed by a close finish. I didn't think it was a terrific game early on, but I thought it got a lot better. It opened up a bit more. There were more scores. The one thing I did walk away thinking was, well, I haven't had time to walk anywhere really, but the one thing I did think after the Siren was, these are definitely 2 of the best teams in the competition.
Yeah, well, Geelong really do have now the credentials to win the flag, don't they? I mean, we've sort of, in talking about who we think are going to be the premiers or the grand finalists, we've been steadfast Richmond, and you've had Doggies up against them, Demons for me, and blends thereof. But Geelong really, that forward line so functional, do have the credentials. I'll say this, that the Doggies were raised in my estimation tonight, but again, their best efforts come on the Herculean performances of Bontempelli, don't they? So that is a little bit of a drain, but he's such a great player. Why not? Their forward line tonight was robbed of Norton at an important juncture of the game. He hadn't done anything anyhow. Does this open the door for the exciting debut of Ugle-Hagan? We keep asking, but it might just do that. The thing about the Doggies, Rowan, tonight, their backline, their tall backline, we thought might have been a problem. It stood up for various reasons. Cameron was pretty good. Hawkins not so good, but the 2 tall defenders did their job. And really, the Doggies, they were so unlucky to lose because when they hit the front, they then started dominating the game with a great pair of marks a mark and a free to Duray, a brilliant mark by Waitman. I feel as though almost in a seesawing game, they won the arm wrestle, but they lost the game. So they lose no credibility from this man.
No, absolutely. And I guess in contrast to the previous 2 defeats they've suffered, Richmond ended up running right over the top of them, and then Melbourne dominated them from start to finish pretty much. But this, absolutely the most credible of their losses. And look, they probably even played better than in a few games they've won. So one of those games they'll come away with having lost the match points, but as you say, absolutely no credibility, having lost no credibility at all. Great effort from them. Each side lost a really important player at a bad time, didn't they? Norton, obviously, for a fair bit longer, but Geelong losing Hawkins for that last, 10, 15 minutes, I thought that was pretty key too, because they banged the ball in there a few times and really didn't have that obvious target up the top of the 50 where he was doing a lot of his work. So,
and they lost Duncan for the entire game. So, I mean, boy, you can be unlucky.
Yeah, no, big loss, Mitch Duncan as well. All right, we've got questions. We've got heaps of questions. Keep sending them in, though. We're going to work right through them, and we'll zip through a few here. LJ Meyer, first on the board. He says, bloody Geelong, okay? Matty Costello, RoCo, where does Tony Liberatore reside? I'm not sure, Matty. Actually, someone tweeted something about I apparently look like the guy sitting next to Tony Liberatore. Well, it wasn't me, as you can see. I'm here in my lounge room. I don't know who it was, but if someone was to send a screenshot, I'll make my own assessment of that. Craig Gislingham, fair game, Rowan. Yeah, look, it was, Craig. Like I said, I mean, it was a bit scrappy early, but it's a sort of game in terms of the type of game we watch that is pretty representative of finals footy, isn't it, Finey? And you look at one, that's another thing about the Bulldogs. We know the Cats can play finals footy, but I think the Dogs can scrap it out when they need to. It's not just that one-way offensive flowing footy. In fact, Daisy Pearce made a couple of times in the last quarter, not for the first time, made the more articulate comments in the Channel 7 call. The thing that the Dogs did in that last quarter was get more of that offensive run and overlap and creative handball game happening. But their capacity to be able to tough it out, and they did a lot better in the contested and uncontested ball in that last quarter. I mean, that will hold them in really good stead for the sort of scraps you see in the final series, won't it?
Absolutely. There's a couple of observations I do, sort of takeaways from the game. I know it's hard, but in a side that really only offers him a minor possibility of being in the 22, Mitch Wallace did not look like the man when he came on a sub, which is unfortunate. I still don't quite understand Johannesson playing up forward. I do understand that he can put some forward pressure on, and I know he kicked a goal and can be sort of dangerous, but you have to realise that Geelong was sweeping the ball off that half-back flank, Stewart marking imperiously, Atkins doing good work, Henry. I mean, Johannesson doesn't compete enough in the air or on the ground. I just sort of think, well, hang on, you're not really doing your job there, mate. Not like, I mean, Dalhouse to me was great tonight, so tenacious from the get-go. I understand why he's in the team.
Yeah.
And I do say this, Bontempelli, brilliant. Geelong's Bontempelli said that when he made his comeback, I'm talking about Dangerfield, that would take him 5 or 6 weeks to get into match, not fitness, but touch. And that is true. So they have got something to look forward to there because Danger still has it in him.
Yeah, look, he's definitely feeling his way back. Although having said that, he's ended up with 26 disposals tonight. Yeah. And had some important moments. Like, you know, he missed a couple of very gettable goals, didn't he? One crucial one in the last quarter. So,
but he just couldn't bust the packs like we know he will, you know, when cherry ripe. He just didn't have that sort of strength or acceleration. Don't worry, he's pacing himself. He said as much.
Yeah, no, it's true. Let's keep going. Tim Dole, on a scale from Plough's super flood to St Kilda v Geelong 09, where does that rate as a home and away game? I hold it very highly. It was fantastic to watch. You can have a crack at that, Finey.
Yeah, except, all right, that it was a poor first quarter, but that's okay because it was finals-like. The score at the end of quarter time was ported for things to come. I didn't like the umpiring again. I do find Robbo Gorman and that blonde umpire, they just don't make enough decisions. They've not a lot of courage. You know, you're throwing the ball around in the first quarter. I can't remember the Bulldogs player. Was it Libber or somebody? He just threw it out of the pack.
Yeah, well, they're still not paying holding the ball. I saw at least probably a dozen tonight that I would have paid that they let go. They're letting it go too long.
I mean, this is maybe a discussion for another time, Rowan, because it was such a good game, we should focus on it. But so many elements of the game are in tatters in terms of umpiring. I can never remember it in such a state of flux. The holding the ball has just become farcical. I don't like that forwards can push their opposition in the back now. There's way too much. Players are just getting pushed out when they're in front. Now, that's not holding your position. That wasn't the idea, was it? The intentional out of bounds rule is so
Arbitrary.
Arbitrary, thank you. So Steve Hocking can pin his hat on the excellent man on the mark rule, which has done what it was meant to do. But hey, we've got a lot of things at the moment that don't make sense watching the game as we have for so long. My instinct has never been so scrambled as it is at the moment with the umpiring.
No, look, I agree. As you know, I hate sort of having to talk about it, but I'm finding myself doing that more often. I think in a nutshell, and it probably is a discussion for another time, but I think in a nutshell, they've been saddled with too many decision-making responsibilities. I think their minds are becoming scrambled. And I think there's an inordinate focus now on what, in the context of a whole game, aren't major areas. And you just cited two of them, the deliberate out of bounds and things like, you cited that one. The one I was thinking of was the 15-metre kick. So, you know, there's they seem to invest a lot of mental capacity in paying those free kicks. And what's happening in the meantime, the more basic free kicks, which happen more frequently, like holding the ball, incorrect disposal, infringement in a marking contest, in the back, etc., they are not being paid correctly. And that's something I've really noticed. So I think it's a consequence of these guys having too many things to think about over the course of a game and in the process of making a simple decision like holding the ball. There shouldn't be 5 clauses to the holding the ball rule. It shouldn't be that complex.
And just very quickly, wasn't it a certainty tonight that any perceived head high or, you know, tackle to the above the shoulders was going to be paid a free kick? And there were many. And I tell you that is the wrong way to go, because if you pay every free kick, including the ones where players put their heads and duck their heads, what are you doing? You're encouraging players to lead with their heads. Stop doing it. They think that they're protecting them, but they're not.
Yeah, no, agree. Let's press on. Ross Wilson, who teaches the dying art of the handball? Yeah, look, you do notice some players certainly can't handball with their non-preferred hand. And what was it one tonight? I think it was Quinton Narkle. It sort of just fell off his hand. I don't know if it was his preferred or non-preferred, but he went to handball and it sort of like fell limply off the hand holding the ball. Yep. So there's not too many sort of Greg Williams, Barry Cable types going around the AFL at the moment. I reckon the best has probably been Cunnington. But it's,
who's coaching handball at the moment? I reckon probably Craig Bellamy.
Yeah, no, fair call. Tom Doherty says Selwood with that knock on with a minute to go, the best non-stat of the year. Couldn't agree more. And
just on that, you sort of confused that a bit. That wasn't the ball that got to Isaac Smith.
Oh, was
that? That was the ball that ended up being kicked to a 1-out with Dalhouse and his opponent. Dalhouse managed the tackle. The kick out actually, I think, was picked up by Guthrie, wasn't it? Who handballed it to Smith, who then kicked wisely to that beautifully balanced Gary Rowan.
Yeah, the point I was going to make with Selwood was even though it was a split second, you could sort of see him go, we just need territory here. So rather than sort of tap it with target in mind, he just went whack for as much territory as he could find. Must have gone a good 30 metres, I reckon. So,
and who got the ball up to Selwood in that contest?
I can't remember.
Dangerfield. They were dicking around with the ball on the back flank.
Yeah.
And when he got it, you just knew it was like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Beautiful kick.
Leroy Jones says, who else heard the brutal sledge Isaac Smith gave McRae? I didn't, Leroy, but I'm very intrigued to know what it was. So if someone is across that, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
LJ Meyer, when are Geelong going to finally have a spell in football wilderness? I, for one, am bloody tired of seeing them in the finals year after year. Are they rorting the cap? Performance-enhancing drugs? Surely they're getting an edge. No, Al, they are just a superbly run footy club. They have a fantastic culture of leadership on the field there. So the leaders pass the baton to the next generation of leaders. And that's exactly what's happened as...
A couple of other things.
Well, hang on. That's exactly what's happened as Ling, Enright, etc. have handed the baton to, Selwood, Duncan, Hawkins. I think Chris Scott is a very good coach, and his strike rate proves that. People can talk about the premierships, but once you get to that stage of a season, there's plenty of luck comes into the equation. They haven't not won premierships because of his coaching. I'd say that very confidently. All right, go on. What do you think?
Okay, so there are two factors that play very strongly to their strengths, and they milk them beautifully. One, they've got a home ground. Not only have they got a home ground, they've got probably the best home ground advantage in the AFL. And for a Victorian club, that is pretty precious, isn't it? Pretty nice to have those games there. And we've seen over the last decade, teams have almost marked it as a concession. And we've seen teams come from the West and not pick their best teams, or, anyhow. That's the beauty of being in Geelong. Good on them. The other thing that they've really developed over the last decade is that any player that is recruited from the Geelong Falcons into the AFL through the TAC, through our TAC Cup system, even Western District players, but particularly Geelong Falcons, they go to other clubs, but Geelong always keep the lines of communications open. Have a look at the players that they've picked up accordingly. The likes of, and I'm talking about not just, they've got Paddy Dangerfield, Gary Rowan, Luke Dalhouse, you name it. Jeremy Cameron. Jack Stephen even came to the club. That wasn't successful. Lockie Henderson. And these are players that have gone to Brisbane, Carlton, Lockie Henderson, but in the end, he came home. And they foster that really in a very clever manner, which gives them a real fair. Sean Higgins is another one. It gives them access to some very good players who they just, say, your country boys, why don't you finish your career with us? And a lot are choosing to do so, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. No, that's very, very fair points. Boy, we've got a lot of questions banking up, so I'm going to be a bit choosy now. Don't be offended if we overlook yours. Keep trying, and we'll give you a crack. Ivor Pereira says, how good were the two skippers, the Bont and Joel Selwood, when the game was in the balance? Doggies did everything but win. Gary Rowan reprising a goal after the siren to win the game, not for the first time. Yep. First thing that popped into my head, of course, that happening against my team. Marty Gleeson getting strong-armed in a one-on-one marking contest in the goal square. And that game, Sydney was, I think, 16 points down with about 3 minutes to go. But like I said, if you could pick any player in the AFL to be kicking for goal to win you a game after the siren, he'd be in your top three, wouldn't he?
He's my number one. I've said, even when his form hasn't been good, I've just said he's the best kicker goal in the AFL. And I'll tell you what, for those who follow our podcast, I must say my footy flashback was a bit prophetic this week, wasn't it?
Yes, Geelong Carlton from 2002. They've got a good record in those clutch games. One of the first things that came into my mind too after Rowan kicked it was, remember that game when they beat Melbourne down there, I think 2017, and Zach Toohey kicked a goal after the siren to win that one. I reckon, without looking at it, without having the stats in front of me, I reckon their record in close finishes would be really, really good. And you'd expect that of an experienced team.
I would say this, that people would say that difference between the Riccardi goal and Rowan goal was there wasn't the controversy of touched off the boot. But we had that tonight, given that Close kicked a goal and the umpire was standing close and called it touched. How could the umpire be standing next to it, call it touched, and then have it referred? It doesn't make sense.
No, I thought, the field umpire did call that instantaneously, but in fact, I don't reckon I've seen many, if any, where the field or goal umpire has called a touch and it's been overturned by the arc for not being touched, because it's pretty hard to to tell, isn't it? So, fair play to them. I reckon on the replay, it did look like there was a gap between the ball and the hand of whichever player it was that was going to touch it.
Ridiculously, Caleb Daniel on the mark.
Oh, yeah, okay, right. Kenny G, Aaron Norton getting injured was a bloke. Kenny G, that's nice. I reckon lead singer from Wawani, Paul Gray. The late Paul Gray, yes, I know he's no longer with us. Let's keep going. Julian says, no one from Melbourne is supposed to be at the game. Why was Tony there is what the questioner meant. Sorry, my bad. Fair point. I think, are you sure there weren't exemptions granted for family or whatever of players? I mean, I remember last year at the start of the season, we had Eddie Maguire sitting in the box at a Collingwood game when there was no crowd. I don't know. I'm honestly just throwing that up. But fair point, if that wasn't the case. I wonder if he'll get in trouble. Okay, let's keep going. Ronnie Isco says, can you please make a note to check on Brownlow night that Stewart gets the 3 votes? Thanks.
Oh, God. Imagine if he didn't. Wow.
Well, it's one of those games, like we do say sometimes, don't we, that defensive games sort of go under the radar, but you can have spectacular defensive games, and I reckon that one was because he just kept taking those intercept marks. He had at one stage he had 7 or 8. It was more than the Bulldogs as a team had.
But he took one with 5 minutes to go on the boundary in front of the pack. That was just extraordinary how strong that mark was.
Yeah.
And we don't live in a time of competitive marking. This was back to the greatest of Kenny Hunter. To me, he reminded me of Kenny Hunter a bit.
Mark Anderson echoing your thoughts. Good call, Finey. Far and away Luke Dowhouse's best game for the Cats. High possession game too. What did he end up with?
From the first time he tackled a player tonight or put his head over his nose over the ball, he really impressed me as he hasn't almost in Geelong colours. I really understood why he's in the team tonight.
Yeah, well, I guess, we saw Myers in the second. So, his chance. And this is the one thing they haven't done with the ruck roll, have they? Radagalier and Stanley, they just keep sort of swapping it between each other. And again, tonight, you wouldn't, I don't know, how do you think the ruck duels panned out?
I know he likes blitzards. Chris Scott always defers in bigger games to blitzards, which counted against him.
Well, hang on, except didn't he, wasn't it blitzards who got dropped for that qualifying final against Collingwood 2 years ago?
Yeah, I'm saying, no, didn't he ruck? There was a game where he got beaten soundly because he rucked him during the season.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of Stanley. Sorry.
Yeah,
Stanley got dropped, yeah.
Yeah, because he rucked him against Grundy in the home and away games, blitzards, and it worked out really well.
Yeah.
But, I think Collingwood were well and truly ready for the return bout and pantsed him. But that's why they're so keen on Sean Darcy, another Western Districts boy. But apparently Fremantle, I'll tell you what, Darcy's going to make a lot of money playing football in the West.
Is that where Sean Darcy's from? Right, okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can check, but I'm pretty sure he's from the western part of Victoria.
That's good. He can take over the baby Huey role that I always thought Tom Hawkins played for them.
He does. He does have the baby Hueys about him, but he is a resilient. He's strong. He's a beauty because they cannot solve their ruck issues, can they? Radagalier against a good ruckman is, those bags that they hold up before the game so you can practice on.
Yeah.
He really just stands there and gets ridden. Whereas Blitzarves is more competitive in the air.
So they hit out tallies for what they're worth, 48 to Geelong, 35 to the Western Bulldogs. How do you reckon their rucks went tonight?
Well, Stephen Martin was a bad late withdrawal, wasn't it? Because Tim English is a bit vapid to me. I'm sorry. A couple of times they kicked the ball up to the forward line and he was towering over his opponent and he just didn't mark it. And he just don't you look in his eyes and sort of think, hello, McFly? Like, he's the sort of guy where if I was running out on the ground, I'd pinch his cheeks or something just before the game to wake him up.
McFly, as in Back to the Future.
You know, McFly, hello.
Yeah. No, that's a bit too bullying for me. You're starting to channel Gary Lyon and Nick Rewalt, Jonathan Brown off the Fox Footy.
But you sort of tweak his nose just to. He just looks like he's cruising a bit, and I know players have done that, but I think you need to have that steely resolve, and he doesn't quite have it.
Matt Campbell says, deliberate out of bounds is such a joke and so inconsistent. What is the rule? Well, it's not about deliberate out of bounds anymore. It's about insufficient intent to keep the ball in play. And yet it really isn't umpired to the letter of that law either, is it? Because, you know, there are times when players obviously are trying to keep the ball in play, but they miskick, it goes out of bounds. So,
okay, so when
intent is the wrong word.
Yeah, when that happens, so let's say a player, exactly what you said, it's come off the slewed off the side of the boot, and the nearest player to that ball is an opponent who escorts it over the boundary line without touching it because he's expecting a free. Isn't he the one that hasn't shown the intent?
Correct. I mean, look, if you
against him,
if you were going to penalise guys for skill errors that happen to go out of bounds, you have to remove the word intent because their intent is to keep the ball in play. And this is my issue with the holding the ball stuff too, that they say if a player elects to incorrectly dispose of the ball. Well, who elects to incorrectly dispose of the ball? I mean, it's they need a very good sub-editor on the laws of the game, I'll tell you, because the wording of them, some of them, is just completely contradictory with what they're actually playing.
Yeah, and it's unfair to Jimmy Webster and Ben Long because they don't have the skills to keep it in play.
All right, let's keep going. Glenda Bailey says, how many games have Geelong fallen over the line in the dying moments at GMHBA? Well, quite a lot. That Melbourne game springs to mind. Actually, you picked that up, Finey. Can you remember any? I'm just going to have a quick look.
It's funny. The one I remember is the one they lost to Sydney. That was a great. Remember when Sydney pipped them?
Sydney's beaten them there a couple of times.
Yeah, and there was one close one where you just there's sort of an inevitability about them winning those close games. But I actually remember them winning many close games at the MCG against Hawthorn, of course.
Okay, I'll read out a few. So they beat Brisbane there by a point earlier this year. Of course, the controversial non-holding the ball, not paid against split subs. They lost to Carlton there by 2 points last year. That was a huge shock. They lost to GWS by 4 points there in 2019, early on. They beat Melbourne by 2 points. That was the Zach Tui game, 2018 that was. They beat Freo there by 2 points. That was someone had a shot after goal, didn't they? After the siren for Freo and missed. Can't remember who it was. They won by 2 points against Port Adelaide, 2017. That's it for tight finishes.
Where was the game when somebody threw the apple at the ball when Doug Wade had a shot?
I think was that against Collingwood? Or was that they won
against Carlton? It was against Carlton.
Oh, wasn't that a preliminary final?
Yeah, I think it was a final. It's the greatest throw ever.
Yeah.
And even that, if it was true.
You know when else that happened? I remember this happening. That happened to James Cook playing for the Western Bulldogs in the preliminary final. They lost to Adelaide, the infamous preliminary final loss to Adelaide by 2 points or whatever it was.
Well, somebody threw an apple at the ball.
And it hit the ball.
Yeah. Whoever's throwing those throws are brilliant.
Yeah. All right.
I've thrown an apple once at the football, hit a woman in the head, and I ended up on beatbox.
Is it possible for us ever to come up with the most bizarre situation where you don't go, well, that happened to me once?
Oh, no, hang on.
You know what the saddest thing is? That I believe it with you.
What do you mean believe it? It happened. I was on beatbox and I acted like such because I got kicked out of the SCG.
Yeah, didn't you tell us you were watching beatbox at home and you were on it and your mum saw it and she cracked it?
I was making sure that my mum didn't see it, and my bloody sister Michelle was upstairs and said, Mum, it's on TV. Just in time for me, as I'm being walked out by police, to have a camera thrust in my face and saying something like, "Oh, they're all theatre goers here. They only come to watch Kappa. They deserve copping an apple every now and then." Like it was pitiful.
All right, gee, we've got a lot of people complaining about the commentary. Someone's asking me who Hoover Nose is, and for those wondering, I made a reference before to the Fox Footy panel, and when they came back at halftime. So I've got a few hobby horses. One is I hate it when commentators, and it seems to be the province of the former players, talk about the Geelong Footy Club, the Geelong Footy Club getting a slight edge there at halftime. Well, we know it's the footy club. It's not the netball club or the Farnarkling Guild. We know it's the football club. They're playing a game of football. So saying Geelong Football Club doesn't lend any more gravitas to what you're saying. It just makes you look like a dick. Now, unfortunately, Gary Lyon has taken to this like a duck to water, and he cannot mention a team's name without going with Footy Club after it. Anyway, I decided to have a bit of fun with it. So this is what I tweeted coming back from the halftime break, and just let me find it. And that's why my face has gone all white. I'm looking at Twitter. And I wrote, so the Geelong Footy Club getting a little break there on the Doggies Footy Club. Boys, what do you reckon? Rui, Brownie, Donga, Big Balls, G-Man, Macca and Hoover Nose? Those names were just the first things that came into my head. They are all, well, Rui and Brownie aren't. Donga and Big Balls, of course, have their own show on Triple M. No, they don't, but they should have, because it's the sort of thing they would do. Macca's, every group of Aussie mates has a Macca, and Hoover Nose, well, that could be any one of about half the people in the football media.
Now, I'm not coming to their defence, Rowan, but you know, as a footy anorak, as I am, that about 15 years ago or something, out of step with every other club in the competition, Geelong did become the Geelong Football Club. And it started...
Geelong Cats.
Oh, were they the Geelong Cats?
Yeah, well, they do that for marketing purposes.
Oh, just as annoying.
Well, I'll tell you when else it's annoying. When you producing stuff for our website, you have to put the tags on everything.
Yep.
And for some reason, you get much better SEO, search engine orientation numbers, if you put in Essendon Bombers and, Hawthorn Hawks.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, that full version of the name is key to tonight's tipping mechanism, but more on that later.
Okay. Now, important question here. I was wondering when someone was going to pick up on this. Have a look what I'm drinking tonight.
Sacrilege. Have you been, or are we sponsored?
It's the
Have we
drink.
got a big spot?
No, it's the drink of the devil. Our producer, Damon, has a 2-litre bottle of that.
Why are you drinking it?
I'll tell you why I'm drinking it, because David and I tonight got the 2-pack at the fish and chip shop. And 2 drinks come with it. And I could have sworn last time I went in there, they had the nectar of the gods, that is Coke, no sugar. David came out having picked it up, and he had 2 cans of this stuff. And I just said, get out of the car now.
But you don't have to drink it. Don't tell me every time you order enough Chinese, you don't actually eat the prawn crackers, do you?
Yeah, I love the prawn crackers.
They're not good for you.
But if I didn't have this, I'd have to resort to drinking water. And things have got to be desperate for me to drink water. Anyway, taste test? No, it's just not within a bull's roar of Coke, no sugar, I'm afraid.
I'm still trying to find something that tastes like RC Cola, but
I can't remember what it tasted like. I remember I used to
it tasted
buy
RC. It did taste a bit RC.
Well, I always thought it was named after me,
Oh, that's true. Rowan Connolly.
Cass says that Rory Lobb definitely looks like Marty McFly's dad.
Yeah, he does. It does a bit, doesn't it?
That's a good get.
Yeah.
All right, you might have worked out we've gone into. Has no one got any more serious questions?
Well, I got something serious to say.
Oh, hang on, just before you do, Peter Phoebe says it's funny how in the last couple of years Fox Footy have dropped the line the best halftime analysis from their coverage. But it doesn't matter, Peter. You don't want good analysis. You want Gaz and Rui and Brownie being mates and talking about their exploits on the field. And they know better than any of us because they've been there in the heat of battle. Go on, Finey.
Toby Mclean's a bit of a story, isn't it?
His haircut or his
comeback. He's, I think we forgot that he's an important player. Not many people sort of lamented his absence because they've got such a strong midfield.
Yeah.
But remember, Treloar's still to come back. How's Dunkley tracking? That's been problematic, of course.
Yeah, I think I may have read somewhere he wasn't far off.
Oh, that's good. So, again, you can have too many. What are they going to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a great weapon that Luke Beveridge has always utilised very well. They have more selection pressure going on with their list than any other club in the competition. And Beveridge, I'll give him his due. And, like some people, including you, Finey, I'm not having a go at you, but you were really critical about a lot of their selections. But he just won't tolerate poor performance, no matter your reputation. And a lot of coaches don't have the balls to do that, and he does. I mean, it's easy to do when you've got the sort of depth and evenness across the list that they've got.
So will he drop Macrae?
No.
Tonight, Macrae was terrible.
What, terrible or just below his
kicking
best?
Was terrible tonight. Even his last two kicks in the game, if he would have kicked that ball into the forward line properly with their last entry, they probably would have won the game.
Yeah, but, okay, here's the significant but with Jack Macrae. He's ended up with 35 disposals. So, yeah, his kicking can be a bit shoddy. He certainly didn't impact the game as he usually does. But I'd argue 35 ordinary touches from him is still far more likely to be of value to them than
he's brilliant. He's
20
brilliant.
touches from a lesser player, right? Agreed?
Yeah, but you just said Luke Beveridge will drop you if you, does he drop you off one bad one?
And it's a really good point. I reckon there'd be, I don't know, 3 exceptions to that rule. Bontempelli, Macrae, maybe someone who's structurally important. Like
Norton.
Who?
I don't think they're going to be dropping Norton if he's fit ever.
Who'd you say, sorry?
Aaron Norton.
Oh, Norton. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I was going to say Caleb Daniel because he plays an obvious sort of sweeping role for them across half back.
But he did get dropped a couple of years ago.
Daniel?
Yeah, before he became a backman.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't playing that role then, was he?
Yeah, no, interesting, though.
I remember, I vividly remember watching his first game and he did really well even his first game, got quite a lot of touches. And I remember, don't you love it when you see a guy who sort of comes in pretty unheralded and you watch him and you see something and you think, I'm going to follow this guy because he can play, And I remember thinking that with him and I didn't think it'd be as a half back. I mean, I thought more likely as an on-baller. And the only comments you used to hear about him were the headgear and he's so small, But, I mean, he was good value even in that premiership year, which I think was only his second year of senior footy.
You know a good mate of mine and Andrew Shostak?
I do.
So before he was ever drafted, Shostak had seen some footage. He was checking all the players in the draft that year and he compiled a best-of tape of Caleb Daniel out of the Sandful and underage football and sent it to St Kilda demanding they drafted him, but they didn't. Like he edited it up himself. He just came across this guy, Caleb Daniel, and followed him for a couple of years.
Yeah,
and
right.
any vision he could get of him, it's a great 25 minutes. It's compelling. Well, not compelling enough for St Kilda to draft him, obviously.
Well, there's a few of those stories where he should be a recruiter, shouldn't he? Apparently, this Pepsi thing is just causing astonishment across the nation. I'm told Australian Ben says, I've pinched Picker's drink. Apparently, that's his drink. So Australian Ben reckons this will be on off the bench tomorrow morning. I'm tipping it probably won't be Australian Ben because I don't work for the cult. You don't get much of a mention if you're not part of the family.
That's true. Yeah, my favourite carbonated beverage?
What is it?
And I'm not trying to be esoteric or crazy, but we love it. Anytime we get Turkish food, we get it, and sometimes I just get it regardless.
Can I have a
The
guess?
national, but yeah,
Passiona.
no, the national carbonated drink of Turkey is called Uludağ, spelled Uludağ, and it's available at most kebab places or a lot of kebab places. It's actually a mountain and a town in Turkey where the factory is. But it's
How do you
describes
spell it?
itself Uludağ, but
You
it's
sure it's,
pronounced
you sure it's
Uludağ.
not purchased by dyslexic teenagers trying to buy UDL?
No, it's called Uludağ, and it comes in the traditional flavour, which is clear, but it's a fruity citrus mix or orange. And that fruity citrus Uludağ is the best.
Sorry, everyone. Our producer has gone right off the rails here. Damon is insisting on pouring himself big glasses of Pepsi Max down the camera. In fact, one day we're going to get you on this broadcast, Damon, so people can see the brains behind this whole operation.
Do you like Bundaberg dry ginger?
I like dry ginger ale. I've always been quite partial to that, but usually Schweppes. I don't
Not the Bundaberg ginger. You know, the one in the like the amber bottle.
No, I don't. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I do, but I don't think I've had it.
Oh, it's yum.
What about I'd literally never had one of those energy drinks until 6 months ago, and David bought one of those big, what they call big mother effers or something.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
Well, he bought one of them, and I had to have a taste of it. And it was actually not bad, but it was like someone had poured half a canister of sugar down my throat.
Yeah, it was the same with me and coffee, because I don't drink coffee. If ever I have a coffee, people accuse me of running a meth lab.
What, you don't?
I've never had a cup of hot coffee in my life, Robert, or tea.
Oh, no, I believe that, but I don't believe that you don't run a meth lab. I mean, you are Walter White.
Yeah. If I ran a meth lab, you reckon I wouldn't have blown up? It wouldn't have blown up by now.
Can I just tell everyone that a few months ago, Finey, without even seeing the parallel, Finey comes to me and he says, "Oh yeah, Nat and I are looking at buying a car wash." I mean, you are Walter White.
Yeah, except I'm trying to make some money, not trying to launder it.
By the way, I'm halfway. No, I'm not going to say it because someone will ruin it for me. I'm watching another famous series and I'm getting towards the end of it now.
Have you ever had Iron Brew? The soft drink?
What's that?
It's the soft drink of Scotland. It comes in an orange can and it's sort of bright orange in colour. It's interesting. It's not bad, Iron Brew. Okay. And that leads. Are you going to stay up or get up tomorrow morning to watch the soccer? What a game that's going to be! I'm catching up with my. Pardon?
Who are they playing? Scotland.
England, Scotland.
Oh, really? What time's that?
Oh, I don't know.
5 a.m. or something.
Yeah. So and we're allowed to go there because it fits the current rules. I'm meeting some English blokes at some venue. It's a pub that's open all hours to watch it.
Oh, yeah, really? Okay.
Oh, there's some Scottish guys and English guys, and we've booked you had to book a table because of social distancing. They're only letting 40 people in or something, but we're all booked up and ready to go.
Oh, nice. Well, I was watching the other night when they conceded that incredible goal to who was it? Oh God, how am I going? Was the other night?
When Scotland did?
Yeah.
To the Czech Republic.
The Czech Republic, that's right. I can't remember the player's name either. Started with S. Anyway, incredible goal.
Yep.
All right, I've got a few more here. Suds McDuff, this deserves reading out. He says, did John Ironmonger have the best name for a player most likely to be traded during the medieval period?
Probably.
Harper Pestinger, good friend of the show, g'day Harper, says, thoughts on crowdless VFL this weekend? Surely they could cap crowds or enforce masks if need be. Yeah, look, it's a fair point. I can't. I don't know, people sort of think I'm a spokesman for the Victorian government. I don't know. There's been some weird stuff and I don't, it's tough on suburban competitions too because, so much of
they need the money.
Yeah, so much of the revenue comes from crowds and kiosk sales and stuff like that. So, and then when you see something like tonight with a limit on crowds, but they're all shoehorned into one or two parts of the ground, I don't know what the thinking is. I honestly don't. Simon Morris, if you listen to the footy on the radio, which I hardly ever do, what station do you like to listen to? I've got to say, just lately I've started listening to the ABC a lot more, which I didn't do a lot because I've got sick of incessant plugs. I understand they have to do them, but a certain station has way too many of them. I've got sick of the macho boys club, Donger and Big Balls sort of calls, and you know which station I'm talking about there. And I've got sick of all that rubbish that surrounds it. So I think the ABC, when I listen to the ABC call, I feel like I'm listening to the sort of call that I used to listen to, you know, when I was at games in the outer as a kid. You know, I just want a straight call of the game with good special comments and people that aren't constantly talking about themselves.
I've got to say that I like the ABC, but their interstate calls are so parochial. They should make some sort of effort. I don't know, maybe because of travel restrictions, but they do calls in South Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Referring to form in SANFL games that I've got no idea what they're talking about. Like St Kilda was playing Port Adelaide, and Port Adelaide had brought Woodcock in or something, and they were saying, well, that's just a follow-on from the 4 goals he kicked last week against Sturt or something. And as though I knew what they were, you know. Well, that's like the goal he kicked in the 3rd quarter against Central Districts. Really? Was it?
Oh, no, yeah, well, it's not just that. It's like the actual calling. I mean, Stephen Rowe is the classic. In fact, I've always remembered this. There was a game, 5AA did a call of, was an Adelaide-Melbourne game. I reckon we're talking early 2000s. Anyway, Melbourne fans would remember it. It was a pretty wet night. Adelaide led all night. Melbourne got up and won it literally in the last 30 seconds. Andrew Leoncelli kicked a goal. And there was a boundary throw-in that preceded him snapping the goal. And this was how the call went, right? And I think it was Stephen Rowe calling. He goes, boundary throw-in, Schwartz, over the back. Oh, no! That was the ball going to Leoncelli. He couldn't even call his name. Anyway.
You know, I rang 5AA talkback once. We were driving to a game at Adelaide, at Amy, and they were doing some talkback before the game. And I worked out that there were like 6 of them in the, you know, covering the game with the commentators and pre-game stuff. And I've got no idea whether this went to air because I did it on the phone and we didn't have the radio on. And I just said, oh, g'day, yeah. Isn't there one too many of you calling the game today? And it was Rowie and whoever it was said, what do you mean? I said, well, doesn't 5AA stand for 5 Adelaide arseholes? And he goes, yeah, smart ass. But I don't know whether it went to air. He goes, oh, that's really clever, smart ass. And I had something else to say, but then they definitely did hang up.
Well, this is interesting. We've got a young lady called Rose who is infiltrating our questions and is asking most of us to text her now.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know, but I think some people might be interested to find out.
Does that Rose want to be plucked?
I saw the one to me actually, and I thought, okay, and then I saw the 6 others to other people on this chat. Thanks, 1138. I don't know how he remembers this. This is a true story. Is my performance at the SCG in the 1996 preliminary final, where I had to dictate. I wrote most of the story, sent it through, and I rang the sports editor and said, I'll dictate you the first 2 pars as the siren goes. He said, yep, no worries. So, of course, Plugger gets the ball, siren goes, and there's a bit of a pause, you know. So I rang the number, he picks up the phone, and I go, hang on, before he has the kick. Plugger has the kick, kicks the point. And I just took a deep breath. I said, okay, can you hang on a minute? He goes, yeah. I just went, ah! Sydney is into the 1996 grand final after the thrilling victory over this. That was a tough night, that one. Rose is actually asking Kerry, who is also female, to text her now. So she's not discriminating the kind of...
Hang on, we're delving into areas...
I know, we shouldn't be. Come on, Rose, give us a break. Not the time or place. Really. Oh, no, but I saw it actually. So Damon has just reminded me, Finey, we've got a message from Al J. Meyer for you.
Yep.
And he says, and a couple of people following it up too, Al is still waiting on his Andrews Hamburgers T-shirt and cap that he won from a Footyology competition in June 2019.
Yeah, I said if he goes to the shop, they'll look after him.
Okay, you're still there, AJ? And he means it. He's not kidding.
Yeah, that means...
Are you sure though, Finey? Like, they've got to be aware of it.
They had stock, but if they don't, then he'll get a great free feed.
Right, okay. Well, I'm happy to do this now, but Finey, you need to text the boys at Andrews and say... so it's Al J. Meyer, Meyer. He will be coming in.
There'll be 15 Al J. Meyers coming in there. You know that, don't you, Rowan?
No, he's going to have to prove his identity.
Okay.
So let us know if that works for you, Al, because we don't want to see anyone. Suffice to say, we will never, ever be doing prize giveaways again. But
if there's no T-shirts there, because they were expecting people to come in, but that was a year ago or whatever. If there's none left, then he'll get a free feed. For a couple of people, he can take a much.
Sounds like a fair trade-off. And I did actually speak to Greg Metropolis, one of the two Gregs at Andrews today, and they reckon business is starting to pick up, but they need our support. They're a great sponsor of the Footyology podcast. So get down there, people.
Did Greg Metropolis make 5 hamburgers with his first 5 possessions against Scotland?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Sadly, I reckon most of the people still watching this will probably get that joke too. Al says he was kind of joking, but seriously, Al, we're serious.
Yeah,
so if that really is the case, it's yours.
Yep.
It is waiting for you. All right, we're going to move on to the tips because we've lingered far too long talking rubbish. Just let me have another sip of this crap. No. Very, very poor substitute.
Okay.
Here's one. Joey Kazina says, hey, guys, a few mates and I were debating if Tommy Hawkins would be a future AFL Hall of Famer. Absolutely, Joey.
Yes,
I'm a huge Tomahawk fan. His record has been completely and utterly undersold. He's a guy who's now getting up towards 300 games. He averages 2 goals per game, which in the modern era is bloody good. In fact, well over 2 goals per game. He's won, I think, at least one, if not 2 best and fairest. He's been All-Australian 4 times. He won a grand final, basically, for his club. He has been an absolute gun. He's a walk-up start for Hall of Fame.
And we can already see he's sort of preparing to transition into the next stage of his life by what he's done this year.
Like what?
Haven't you seen every photo of him or every headshot with those piercing blue eyes and the strange face he makes? Isn't he going to be a star in horror movies or something?
I thought you were going to say Blue Steel.
He's got this freako look going on. Like, whoa.
He is quite seriously, he is one of the nicest guys I've ever met in footy. Yeah, he's a lovely, lovely guy, Tom.
Yeah, I've met him as well. And it's funny because I met him with his father and they're just a great family. Of course.
His father met him?
Pardon? No. People may not know that his 2 uncles, 3 brothers played for Geelong. You know, that's a pretty good effort.
Jack's 3 brothers.
There were 3 brothers. Jack, Rob with 2 B's, remember?
Yeah.
And another Hawkins.
Who was the other one?
The other, Rob and the other one only played like 3 and 2 games each or something. But, I think you find one of them made their debut that famous day that Ablett, Jackson, Williams all made their debut.
Oh, that way. No, it wasn't. Yeah. No, it wasn't Jackson. It was Ablett. The centre line was Ablett, Williams.
Yeah, Mark Jackson made his debut that day as well.
Wasn't that 84? Did Jacko play? Oh, yeah, Jacko played in 84, did he? So he was at Geelong 84 and 85?
I don't know. You have a look at that game. I'm pretty sure. Sure that's how it played out.
All right. I said 5 minutes ago we're going to do the tips. We're going to do the tips.
Okay, you're going to hate this, but it's brilliant.
All right. Okay, so hang on, wait. Just let Damon tweet out that because we're going to have trouble getting rid of this audience tonight because we currently have well over 100 viewers. Usually by this stage we're down to about 80, and I'm confident I can halve that with this segment. But
you know why we've got so many?
Why?
Big thank you to Rose.
Oh yeah, she's disappeared. I think we scared her off.
Yeah.
All right. So what is our tipping device this evening?
Tonight is called the Secret Cryptic Clue. So you take the full name of the team that you're tipping, right? So as I said, Geelong, for example, tonight Geelong Cats or Western Bulldogs, right?
Okay. So you mean North Melbourne Kangaroos?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, out of the name Geelong Cats, from within those 2 words, not combining the 2 words, separate, find a word that exists within Geelong or Cats and give a cryptic clue to that word or letters. For example, my tip tonight would have been, it's a living thing, what a terrible thing to lose.
ELO.
And in which team is there ELO?
Geelong.
Correct. And there you go.
Damon can't even explain that.
It's called our cryptic hidden word quiz. Cryptic hidden word tip.
Okay, call it that, Damon. Let's just get it done with. All right. So
like if I would have tipped Western Bulldogs, you know what my clue would have been?
No.
One of the world's 2 leading manufacturers of pinball machines.
No, it's been too long since I played them. I can't remember what they were called.
Well, the 2 main manufacturers were Williams or Stern. STERN.
Oh, Western. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't do this stuff. I'm no good with those.
Yeah, you'll do it easily.
All right. Okay, so first game we're talking about 1:45 p.m. Saturday afternoon at Metricon Stadium, Gold Coast, playing Port Adelaide. So I'm going to go for. So you have to take each. It has to come from within one word of the name.
Within a word. It's a word within a word. All letters within a word.
Okay, so if I want to tip Gold Coast, I have to make a word out of gold or coast or suns.
Suns. A word within those.
Yeah, okay.
That's right. So I'll go first. You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. This type of wow is nothing more than a talk fest. This type of wow is nothing more than a talk fest.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, I bet you our listeners, our viewers do. So this type of wow is nothing more than a talk fest.
No one's giving me an answer.
All right, you'll see. People will get it.
LJ Myers is a type of kick. Dimmer Smeaton's weighed in with powwow.
Well, that's what it is. That's what the type of wow is that is a talk fest. So this
so you can use the same letter more than once in the.
No, because the answer is pow. This type of wow. So it's POW. It's a pow wow. This type of wow is a talk fest. It's a pow wow from power. Have a guess who I'm tipping.
Port Adelaide.
Okay.
Johnson Van Trapp says this type of tipping is bollocks.
Well, you see, that's the thing. That's who I'm meeting this morning, my mate Bollocks.
Okay. You've actually got a mate called Bollocks.
Yeah, he's the guy who runs darts and everything.
No, that is disturbingly close to the Donger and Big Balls show that I'm working on.
I know. Bollocks is nicknamed thus because he talks bollocks.
All right, this is too highbrow. Our numbers
No.
will fall off a cliff. All right,
Come on.
okay. Well, I've got a tip now, and I'm no good at this stuff. All right, okay. So I am tipping rope.
You got to give the clue. What do you mean, a type of rope, is it?
No, I didn't realise I had to give a clue.
But you can't jumble the letters up. They've got to be consecutive.
No, it's got to be consecutive.
It's a word within a word.
All right,
letters within a word. Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to at some stage in the next couple of days, I'm going to get lucky
and get laid. Okay, so laid, Adelaide. You're tipping Port Adelaide. That's it. We're away.
And if that gets back to someone else, I won't be.
That's good. You now got the spirit.
Okay.
Another clue would have been a major Italian river.
The
River Po.
Po? It sounds like it's in China or somewhere.
That's River Po's in Italy.
Campbell Fearing reckons you're off your meds, Finey.
Or as Kramer would say, am I just so sane I just blew your mind?
No.
Come on. People understand. Some people do crosswords, you know.
Yeah, not me. We've just lost 25 in one fell swoop.
We're still at 100. It's good for this time. There's 100 people putting up with it.
No, but we could have record numbers if we did something decent to finish off.
Come on, this is very decent.
Next game, yeah, that's what you said about your rap song. Next game is.
At least I have a go, mate. At least I'm not just sitting there like David King harping on about, oh, it's the end of the game. Or whatever. Yeah, that bump, you know. Like, really, David?
I didn't say it was the end of a game. I made a point of saying it wasn't.
No, David King did.
Yeah, well, David King is overcompensating for the fact that he committed the odd atrocity on the field himself, like kneeing Craig O'Brien in the head in the 1996 grand final, and then going back and jabbing his finger in his chest as Craig O'Brien lost half a pint of blood from the split in his forehead.
Did Craig follow him home?
He should have threatened to.
As he did in his St Kilda days?
I do remember. All right, next game. North Melbourne taking on Brisbane at Blundstone Arena, 4:35 p.m. Saturday afternoon. I'm going to tip first.
Yep.
All right, so I am going for, I've got to look at it. Does it have to actually spell? Can it be phonetically like the word I'm looking for?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Stop refreshing.
You want me to go?
No, I've got it.
Yeah.
I would say that poor commentary is the something of my existence.
So you're Bane. So you go for Brisbane.
I am.
Because I believe that the viewers to this program are highly intelligent, I'm going for supercharged atomic particles.
Oh, yeah, I've got it. Anyone else got that one? Yeah, Harper's got it. Good job, Harper. He says atom with a neutral electrical charge.
Yeah, or a supercharged atomic
Or a
particle.
supercharged atomic particle.
Yep.
Good work, Harper.
Which is what?
Al's brain hurts. So does mine.
Or I could have gone for something else. See, that's ions, correct?
Correct. I was going to say.
I could have gone.
I was going to say Jeremy Irons.
No, ions.
Yeah, I know.
Or I could have gone for unusually named brothers who played for Footscray, one of whom became a radio DJ. But They're a pair of brothers that played for Footscray.
Cordy?
No, before our time, I think. Barry and Graham Ion.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Could you check that, Damon, that there were brothers called ION who played for the Bulldogs, or did I dream that?
Probably. Ivor reckons that Kim Jong-un makes more sense at the moment.
Now that is a great memory. One of them was a major DJ in Melbourne.
All right, what about a villain in Dark Knight Rises?
Who?
Bane.
Oh, Bane. Okay, good. Well, we've done that well then.
All right, so we're both tipping Brisbane, if anyone actually cares. All right, next game, 7:25, Saturday evening at Giant Stadium. It is GWS taking on Carlton. All right, I've got one. I've got to go what's fresh in my head.
Yep.
Particularly sadistic young children like burning them.
Ants.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh, by the way, Johnson Von Trapp came up with a bris.
A bris. That's great. B-R-I-S.
Isn't that a circumcision?
Circumcision.
Yeah.
Okay, my tipping GWS Giants is nickname of much loved former Bulldogs on baller.
Ah, yes, very good. Anyone want to have a go at that?
You're getting in the spirit of it, mate.
Al J's gone with champagne. Robert Rice reckons one half of a music genre.
Blues. Is he going for the blues?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You shouldn't use the whole word. Like, so if I was tipping Carlton, I would say a colloquial term for a century for making 100 in cricket.
Yes, very good. Dimmer Smeaton has got it. Gia is, of course, the answer. And so, Finey, what are we doing again? Gia tipping comes from Giants. So you're tipping the Giants. I'm tipping the Giants. Thank God there's only one more game left. It is Launceston, 3:20 p.m. Sunday afternoon. It is the Hawthorn Hawks taking on the Essendon Bombers. I could say something here, but it's just way too easy.
All right, so I'll go first this time.
All right, okay.
German city savagely bombed in retaliatory attacks by Britain in the Second World War.
Yeah, I've got it. And the only reason I've got it isn't because of that. It's because I used to watch the German soccer when the old Channel O remember when Channel O used to do the German soccer?
Yeah. My favourite player was the winger, Simonsen.
No, Alan Simonsen.
Simonsen.
Yeah. Bertie Votes, remember him?
Yeah.
So I've got this. Anyone want to have a go at that? Thanks, 1138 reckons it's Dresden.
Dresden. That also, that was savagely bombed as well. But
Philip Van Dam has it. The answer, of course, is Essen.
Yeah. Which I think Essendon is named after.
Really?
There's a lot of suburbs in Melbourne that are named after German places. Heidelberg.
Okay, yeah. Now that's more like it. We're down to the 70s now. Someone who will remain nameless has come up with a very good clue for this one. So if you got
radio
this one,
station that we both worked at.
Radio station that plays more ads than actual content.
I thought about putting them in, but
all right. So we're both going for Essendon. What clues would we have come up with if we were both tipping the other team?
So what was your clue?
Mine. Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't actually do one. All right. Well, there's not a lot left, really, is there?
I mean, it was so close. I wanted to do the one drug Essendon didn't inject, but that's endone, not endon.
But you very wisely decided not to.
Yeah, I thought that would be bad taste.
Nah.
And maybe I'll change my tip. Because
No.
if I was changing my tip, you know what the clue would be?
What?
If Rowan is correct in the prediction he made regarding his tip in the Gold Coast Port Adelaide game, then he's going to have this.
A hard on.
A horn. Hawthorn.
I honestly can't think of one for Essendon.
How about
yeah, okay. No, I've got a good one.
don't press this if you're worried about the SMS that you've just typed up.
Oh yeah, sent. Very good.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that one. All right, that's enough. We've been going way too long. I reckon I've been trying to wrap up the show at about an hour, and every single week we go about an hour and a half. Anyway, so still 80 people. Phenomenal. You people really need to get lives.
But the weird thing is that 10 people just tuned in now because it was at 70. So the 10 new people.
Yeah, the people that wanted to
tuned
chat to
in
Rose.
and didn't tune out for some reason.
So, Rose, if you're still there, look, feel free to come back, but just don't disrupt people, all right? They can text you after they participated in this show. Speaking of Rose, have a look. Oh, Rose's profession is a clue for this game. I don't know, is Kale Hooker playing?
Just whore. I mean, HAW. I would never say that word. That's a terrible word.
Yeah, no, it's, I don't think it's
I was just
true.
trying to work it out.
She's just a young girl trying to make some money.
I'll
Anyway, let's wrap it up there before we get into trouble. Thanks, everyone. Great game tonight. Great finish. What game was it again? No, very good finish. And look, I think we agree. I'm not even going to pretend to be serious now, but I think those two teams are going to be right there at the pointy end of the season. That's hardly rocket science, is it?
And wasn't it a great night for you, mate?
Why was it a great night for me?
Because the game was decided by Rowan.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, he's become a hero to me. There's not too many Rowans around, so you've got to latch onto those that you can find. So well done, Gary Rowan.
Rohan.
All right, Rohan, yeah. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again next Friday. Now, what's the game next Friday evening? It is, oh dear, Finey. This could be bad for you. It's Richmond against St Kilda.
Again? I've already seen that one.
Yeah. Good game on Thursday night too, so we can talk about that. Brisbane
did you
playing
see that?
Geelong.
Did you see? Last night I was watching, and I really was enjoying watching India bat in the women's test.
Oh yeah, yep.
They were 0 for 167.
Yeah.
I turned it on today. They're 6 for 183.
Yeah, really. I saw one of the wickets actually on Twitter. It was a beautiful. I don't know who the bowler was, but beautiful ball.
The girl made 96. She's 17.
Wow.
On debut. She made her debut in the one-day team for them at 15.
So they do. They blood them young.
No, they just say they're young. She looks like she's 24.
With a moustache. No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
All right. Thanks, everyone. So we'll see you again next Friday. You'll hear from us again on Sunday evening when we bring you our round 14 round review. Sunday, actually, it should be a bit earlier on Sunday night because the only game on Sunday finishes about 6. So hopefully we can get that up on air by, I don't know, 7-ish, if we're lucky, or 7:30-ish. So look out for that one. If you're watching this and you are not yet a Footyology patron, we do need your help to keep this whole operation going. So get Damon to send out the link again. Please subscribe to Footyology through Patreon for $7. Just $7 a month. There's a lot of good content there. and it will help sustain us. If you want to know what sort of content, now, Finey, I know you don't look at the site.
I do.
Okay, well, did you see Martin Flanagan's piece today?
I don't read that stuff.
It
No,
is.
I do look at the site.
It is one of the best pieces we have run on Footyology site. And I'll be quite serious here. Martin Flanagan and half a dozen old footy mates of his went on a expedition to the Tarkin River to protest against a dam being built, and were apprehended by law enforcement people. And he tells the story of their hiking through the beautiful Tarkin rainforest, and they took a footy with them, and the role that the football played in their epic adventure. It's a bit of Tom Sawyer, it's a bit of Huckleberry Finn, it's a bit of Grapes of Wrath. It's a fantastic read. Even if you don't subscribe, read it. It is a cracking read. And
he's a great writer.
He is a great writer, and it's had a lot of great feedback today. Sinead Halliday's written a great piece, which went up yesterday, about a typical day at the country footy. So we've got a lot of sort of footy cultural stuff this week too, some politics up there. I've done a column about the David Mackay stuff, which we've spoken about, but you might want to have a read of that. There's plenty of content there. Check it out. And if you like what you see, I'm being quite serious here. You can really help us not just survive, but thrive in the fiercely competitive media landscape. So your donation would be very much appreciated. All right, that's it for this week. Hope your team has a win if they're playing. If they're not, mow the lawns, or do something with your better half, or something, or do what I said I might be doing, but now probably won't.
What, drink Pepsi Max?
Yeah, no, I won't be doing that again. All right, catch you later, everyone. Good fun tonight. We'll see you then.